My name's Koala, and I got involved in the whole koala issue 35 years ago, maybe, around about that time. They had just been put on the vulnerable list, and now they're on the endangered list. So in 30 years they've gone from common, sort of, to vulnerable to endangered. And I really don't see a future for koalas unless we do something serious for them, because they're just losing far too much habitat too quickly.
There are still a lot of pressures on wild koalas. A lot of habitat is lost to development, and fragmentation of habitat is also something that really affects koalas when they aren't connected to other koala populations.
Koalas are iconic to Australia. It's the only country in the world that has them naturally in the wild, and they've already been listed as endangered. And the predictions are by 2050, if we don't do something to save them, they will be extinct. And that would be terrible.
What's the biggest problem you see from all the koalas you see?
Without doubt, it's loss of habitat. So loss of habitat leads to an increase in disease. So the biggest killer of our koalas, other than natural disasters, is chlamydia. And chlamydia is a disease that was brought in by cattle many, many years ago, and it's just wiping out our koalas. There isn't a treatment, a recognised treatment for them. We can try and rehabilitate them. Sometimes we're successful, other times we lose them. It's really sad. But the other two things are motor vehicle strike. As the population becomes more urbanised, there are more cars on the road, and obviously koalas have to cross the road and they get hit by cars. And the third thing is dog attacks. A lot of people coming into the Port Macquarie have dogs, and if a koala goes into a yard, a dog does what it's supposed to do, which is protect the yard, and often they'll bite the koala.
I've seen a lot of bushfires, but the 2019-2020 bushfires were absolutely devastating. Entire forests were stripped bare. There was nothing left in there. Our teams enter the fire grounds after the bushfires when it's safe to do so, and we search for koalas and other wildlife. And what we noticed time and time again in all of the areas we searched was that there was nothing. There was no sound. There was not even the sound of wind through the trees because there were no leaves.
During the bushfires, we had 79 koalas at the Koala Hospital, and 53 of those had burns. And when they came in, we had to treat the burns and bandage up their injuries. And then initially every 3 days, we had to change the dressings. And then as the wounds got better, every 5 days. And out of the 53 that had burns, we released almost all of them. So it was really good, back to the wild where they'd come from.
So, were you in the bushfire at the time?
Yes, the bushfires were terrible. They went all up the east coast of Australia, and in this area they were particularly bad. And across Australia we lost thousands and thousands of wildlife. It was very, very, very sad.
So, what did you see at the time?
Here we were very, very busy with koalas coming in, and what happens in a fire is a koala will climb to the top of a tree and curl up into a ball. Now if it's a low intensity fire, it will just singe the outside of their fur, much the same as if you burn your hair, the same sort of smell, and it curls. But the fires here were so intense that a lot of them just died. They were incinerated, so we lost a lot. But the ones that survived, when they come down a trunk of a tree, if the tree is burning, they often would end up with burnt hands and feet and noses, and that's what we were treating when they came in. And we had to cut off the dead skin, bathe the wound, put on a product called flamazine and dress it, and then change those dressings every couple of days.
People forget about the fires 4 years ago. You couldn't see 100 metres. The smoke was that thick, and it stayed that way for 4 months. 4 months. It burnt 5.5 million hectares, killed 1 billion animals, over 1 billion mammals. Some areas were wiped out, like koala colonies were wiped out, glider colonies were wiped out. It burnt from the Great Divide to the ocean almost. And we forget about that. This area here, the mid-north coast, was one of the only areas that never burned. And this is what they're logging now, which is quite, it's perverse, you know, really.